Science in sleeping, the hidden secrets beneath the great Sphinx that could rewrite human history. Asterisk. Welcome back to Science in Sleeping. It's always such a calm joy to have you here again. Tonight, we're journeying deep into the desert night, where time itself seems to rest beneath the stars. We'll explore one of the oldest and most enduring mysteries on Earth, the great Sphinx of Giza, a creature of silence and stone, whose gaze has lingered upon the shifting sands for thousands of years. And yet, beneath that ancient stillness, many believe there may lie something far more profound than mere rock and sand. Some say there are hidden chambers, lost knowledge, and forgotten truths buried below, secrets that could, perhaps, rewrite the story of human history. As always, my hope tonight is twofold: that this story not only eases your body and mind into deep rest, but also gives your thoughts something soft and fascinating to wander through. Because learning, when done gently, can be one of the most peaceful forms of dreaming. So whether you're lying in bed after a long day, or listening quietly while the world outside fades into silence, know that you're in the perfect place. Here, you can simply let go. You don't need to remember any of this. You don't even need to try. Your only job is to listen, breathe, and allow your body to sink deeper into stillness with every word. I'd love to know where you're listening from tonight. Are you somewhere warm, perhaps wrapped in a blanket? Or maybe the cool hum of night air moves softly across your room. Maybe it's just past midnight. Or maybe you're watching from across the world as morning drifts close. Wherever you are, this space is for you, a quiet meeting place between curiosity and calm, between science and stillness, between waking and sleep. Now, as you settle in, take a long, slow breath. Feel the rise and fall of your chest. Let your shoulders loosen, your jaw soften, and the muscles around your eyes relax. You've done enough for today. You've thought enough, planned enough, tried enough. Now it's time to rest. The story will carry you gently from this moment onward. And if you drift away midway, that's perfectly fine. Your subconscious mind will continue the journey while you sleep. So, let's begin. Picture the desert at twilight, the horizon painted in soft rose and gold, the last warmth of the sun touching the sands, and then fading into the cool embrace of night in the distance. The silhouette of the great Sphinx rises, half lion, half human, all mystery. For centuries, she has watched empires rise and fall, her face weathered by wind and time. Yet her expression remains calm, eternal, as though she knows something we do not. Some say she guards a gateway. Others believe she conceals a secret, a message left by a civilization long forgotten. What if, beneath that immense body of stone, there truly are hidden chambers, ancient rooms, untouched for thousands of years, whispering stories of who we once were and who we might have been? As the stars unfold above the desert sky, we'll journey through the theories, the legends, and the science. We'll travel through time, from ancient Egypt's sacred sands to modern archaeological discovery, and together we'll let the story unfold at the pace of your breathing, slow, rhythmic, effortless, until the lines between waking and dreaming begin to blur. Now, close your eyes. Let the sound of my voice drift softly through your thoughts, and imagine yourself standing before the Sphinx, the night air cool and still, the vast desert stretching endlessly around you. Above, the constellations shimmer like forgotten memories. And before you, the great statue waits, silent, timeless, patient, a guardian of secrets waiting to be heard. Let's begin our journey into the sands of time and the mysteries buried beneath the great Sphinx. Have you ever wondered what secrets the earth still keeps hidden beneath its surface? Not the treasures of gold or jewels, but the forgotten memories of humanity itself. Stories too old to be written and too mysterious to be proven. What if, somewhere under the sands of Egypt, there are vaults of knowledge untouched for thousands of years? And what if those chambers, silent and sealed, hold the story of where we truly came from? Picture yourself standing at the edge of the Giza Plateau just before dawn. The stars are beginning to fade. The horizon glows faintly with the first blush of morning. The air is cool, dry, and still, carrying the faintest scent of sand and stone. Around you, the desert stretches endlessly, silent except for the distant whisper of wind over dunes. And before you, emerging out of the half-light like a dream, is the great Sphinx, massive, ancient, patient, its body carved from the living bedrock of the plateau itself. It watches you as the light slowly grows, its expression unreadable, part human, part lion, part eternity. Archaeologists say the Sphinx was carved over 4,000 years ago, during the reign of Pharaoh Khafre, but there are whispers of something older. Geologists studying the erosion patterns have suggested that water, not wind, shaped many of its features. That would mean the Sphinx predates the desert itself, built during an age when the Sahara was green. Could it be that this monument is not merely Egyptian, but something far more ancient? A remnant from a forgotten civilization, lost to time and buried beneath the sand. Modern science, as it often does, approaches these mysteries carefully. Ground-penetrating radar has been used to scan beneath the Sphinx. The results are both fascinating and inconclusive. There are clear indications of cavities, passages, and voids below the monument. But their purpose, their contents, and their origin remain unknown. Some researchers believe they are natural fissures in the bedrock. Others, however, claim they could be undiscovered chambers, possibly part of what ancient texts once called the Hall of Records, a legendary archive said to hold the wisdom of a civilization that came before Egypt itself. Did you know that in 1997, during a scientific survey, radar instruments detected large rectangular anomalies beneath the Sphinx's paws? They appeared to be symmetrical, structured, and deliberately carved. The Egyptian authorities, cautious of speculation, restricted further excavation at the time, but for many researchers, that discovery reignited an ancient curiosity, the idea that the Sphinx might guard not only a tomb, but a library, a message from the distant past. Let's step deeper into that possibility. Imagine that under the stone paws lies a grand chamber sealed long ago, its walls lined with inscriptions not yet seen, its air untouched since before recorded history. What stories might be written there? Perhaps they tell of a time when humanity knew itself as part of something vast and cosmic. Perhaps they record our first understanding of the stars, or the secret harmony between the earth and the heavens. If such a place truly exists, its silence would hold the echoes of a forgotten truth, in modern archaeology. Theories must be balanced between imagination and evidence, and yet, history itself is full of rediscoveries once thought impossible. Troy was a myth until it was found. The city of Heracleion was a legend until divers saw its ruins beneath the Mediterranean. And the great libraries of Alexandria, though long gone, remind us of how fragile human memory can be. Perhaps the sands of Giza hold the same promise, that what we've lost may not be gone, only waiting to be remembered. There's another fascinating layer to the Sphinx's mystery. Its alignment, perfectly facing due east, is not an accident. At dawn on the spring equinox, the sun rises directly between its eyes. Ancient builders designed this monument not merely as art, but as an astronomical marker, a guardian of time, watching the eternal cycle of rebirth and decay. The stars overhead were once different than those we see today, and yet the Sphinx still holds its gaze toward the horizon, a silent witness to cosmic change. Many Egyptologists believe the builders saw the Sphinx not as a statue, but as a living being, a symbol of divine guardianship, the lion for strength, the human head for wisdom, the union of instinct and intelligence, of animal and mind. It was meant to remind all who stood before it that power without wisdom is destruction, and wisdom without courage is sleep to the ancient world. The Sphinx was the watcher between worlds, a protector of thresholds between life and death, between heaven and earth, between knowledge and mystery. When you think of the Sphinx now, try not to see only stone, but imagine it as an ancient storyteller, its body weathered by the passage of time, yet still whispering secrets through every grain of sand that touches it. Perhaps that is the real treasure hidden beneath it, not gold or lost manuscripts, but an understanding of continuity, that humanity has always sought to know who we are, and that our greatest monuments are reflections of that longing. In a way, the Sphinx mirrors us all, silent on the outside, but filled with questions within. Each of us guards a kind of hidden chamber, the mind, a place of memory, imagination, and ancient wisdom we barely understand. And like the archaeologists brushing away sand, we spend our lives uncovering layer after layer of who we are, until, at last, we realize the mystery was never out there, but always within. Now, the desert night deepens. The stars seem closer than before. The wind moves softly across the sands, and somewhere beneath the stillness, the Sphinx waits, its gaze fixed upon eternity, and we, the wanderers of thought and dream, continue to listen to the quiet heartbeat of history beneath the surface of time. As we drift toward the next part of our journey, let the image of the Sphinx remain with you, a silent teacher carved from stone and memory. In the next chapter, we'll descend beneath the desert itself, exploring the scientific and mythical search for the hidden chambers that may lie beneath. But for now, breathe slowly, let your mind rest upon the sands of Giza, and drift deeper into the mystery. Have you ever wondered what might lie beneath your feet? Not the ground you walk on every day, but the layers of time resting just beneath it. What if every step we take rests upon stories still untold? And what if, deep below the ancient sands of Egypt, there exists a secret chamber untouched since before the dawn of civilization, a place where forgotten knowledge sleeps, waiting quietly for the right moment to be remembered? Picture yourself standing before the Sphinx once again. But this time, the night is quieter, deeper. The stars shimmer like dust scattered across a black velvet sky. You hear the wind sigh across the dunes, carrying with it the faintest echo of something ancient. The air feels electric, heavy with mystery, as though the earth itself is holding its breath. In the soft moonlight, the massive body of the Sphinx seems alive, its eyes fixed on eternity, its shadow stretching endlessly across the sand. Beneath that shadow, beneath those paws of limestone, scientists believe there may be more than just solid rock. There may be space, a hollow, a void, perhaps even a tunnel, something that was built, sealed, and forgotten. In the early 1990s, a team of researchers led by geophysicist Thomas Debetsky and seismologist John Anthony West conducted seismic surveys around the Sphinx. They sent pulses of energy into the ground, listening to the echoes that came back to their surprise. They found patterns, rhythmic reflections that did not match natural rock formations. Instead, they resembled the outlines of rectangular chambers, one beneath the paws, another near the hindquarters, and possibly more stretching beneath the plateau. The data was clear, but the implications were profound. If man-made chambers truly existed beneath the Sphinx, they might predate even the pyramids themselves. You can almost hear the gentle hum of the equipment in the cool desert night, the soft beeping of instruments, the quiet murmur of scientists exchanging theories. Imagine being there, watching lines of data appear slowly on a monitor, faint ripples turning into shapes, and then the realization that beneath one of the most iconic monuments on Earth, something enormous might be waiting, something intentionally hidden, perfectly preserved. The world above, asleep in its modern noise, while below, the past waits in silence for a moment. The researchers must have felt it, that quiet awe, the realization that they were brushing against a mystery that could change the entire narrative of human history. But such discoveries are never simple. Permission to excavate was denied. The Egyptian authorities, protective of their heritage and cautious of unverified claims, closed the site to further investigation. And so, the question remains, is there truly something below? Or are we chasing an illusion shaped by hope? Still, hope has a strange power. It inspires both dreamers and scientists alike. In the decades that followed, technology advanced. Ground-penetrating radar became more precise. Electrical resistivity tomography allowed even clearer imaging. And new surveys continued to hint at anomalies, symmetrical, geometric, deliberate. Each discovery added another layer to the story, like faint fingerprints on the surface of time. Did you know that ancient Egyptian texts speak of a sacred hall called the Hall of Records, said to contain the wisdom of a lost age? It was described as a library of knowledge, the history of the earth inscribed on crystal tablets or golden scrolls. According to legend, this hall was hidden somewhere near the Sphinx to be discovered only when humanity was ready. For centuries, people dismissed it as myth, but the seismic patterns beneath the Sphinx gave new life to that old legend. Could it be that the ancients were not merely builders, but keepers of cosmic memory? Did they hide not treasure, but truth? Imagine descending beneath the Sphinx now, each step taking you deeper through layers of ancient stone, the air growing cooler, the light fading to soft gold. You walk through narrow passageways carved with precision. Your footsteps echo softly, as though the walls themselves are listening. At the end of the passage, a vast chamber opens, quiet, immense, filled with an energy you can almost feel in your chest. In the center stands a tablet, covered in symbols that shimmer faintly like starlight. They tell stories not of kings and wars, but of time and stars, of people who understood that history was not a straight line, but a cycle, repeating endlessly like the rising and setting of the sun. Whether this vision is real or only a dream within the imagination of humankind, it holds a truth that we are always searching for our origins. We look into space for the beginning of the universe. We look beneath the earth for the beginning of civilization. And in doing so, we mirror the Sphinx itself, looking outward and inward all at once. Modern geologists continue to study the erosion marks along the Sphinx's enclosure. Some argue that the weathering was caused not by sand and wind, but by rain. And if that's true, then the monument may be at least 9,000 years old, predating all known Egyptian dynasties by millennia. Who, then, carved it? What civilization stood there? In a greener, wetter Sahara, looking at the stars, we may never know. But perhaps the Sphinx remembers. In this sense, the search for hidden chambers is not just about stone and earth. It is about the human desire to touch the past, to peel away the layers of forgetting that time lays down like sand. Science and myth become partners in that pursuit. One digs for data, the other for meaning. Together they tell a story that is as old as wonder itself. As you lie there now, listening, breathing softly, let the desert night expand in your imagination. See the faint light of a research tent glowing in the distance. Hear the soft hum of the machines still running, scanning, measuring. Somewhere beneath that ancient statue, the echoes of their instruments ripple through the rock, reaching places no human has seen for thousands of years. Maybe one day those echoes will return with answers. Until then, the Sphinx keeps her silence, and we, like the scientists who study her, must learn to listen. Perhaps that's the true message hidden beneath the sands. That mystery itself has a purpose. It keeps us humble, keeps us reaching, because every unanswered question invites us to dream further. And in that dreaming, we evolve, we learn, we rest, we imagine. Even in our sleep, curiosity does not fade. It drifts softly, like the desert wind, carrying us toward understanding. Now the night over Giza grows deeper. The stars wheel overhead in their eternal dance. The desert breathes, slow and endless, and the Sphinx, that silent watcher of time, remains unmoving, guarding whatever lies beneath, whether it is stone or story, truth or myth. We will continue to wonder, and in wondering, we keep the ancient dream alive as we move toward the next chapter of our journey. Let your thoughts sink like grains of sand, layer upon layer. We will soon explore the cosmic alignments and celestial secrets of the Sphinx, how its gaze connects not only with the rising sun, but perhaps with the stars themselves. But for now, breathe deeply and let the mystery rest quietly within you. The night deepens, the desert breathes, and the great Sphinx, half lion, sits beneath the whispering stars, as if listening to the echo of forgotten voices. The sand shivers slightly, not from wind, but from memory. You can feel it, the quiet pulse of something ancient, something made with intention beyond human comprehension. Have you ever wondered who truly built the Sphinx? Not the pharaohs, not the dynasties, but those who came before. Before the tools, before the records, before the very idea of Egypt itself. Archaeology tells us the Sphinx was carved around 2500 BC during the reign of Pharaoh Khafre. But erosion patterns tell a different story. They whisper of rain, heavy, sustained rainfall that hasn't touched the Giza Plateau for at least 9,000 years, long before the Sahara was desert, long before recorded history began. So who, then, carved this monument that has defied time and sand alike? Some say the answer lies not in history, but in frequency. That the original builders weren't merely stonemasons, but engineers of sound, masters of resonance, beings who understood that vibration is the language of the universe, that stone, like water, can respond to harmony, and that shaping a mountain could be as simple as singing to it. The Sphinx being sung into existence, not chiseled, but resonated, the limestone particles aligning themselves through low-frequency waves, every tone a command, every vibration a tool in ancient texts. From Egypt to India to the Mayans, there are recurring hints of this lost science, the power of sound, pyramids that hum, temples that vibrate, stones that move as if they weigh nothing. Could it be that the so-called gods of antiquity were scientists, engineers, who used frequencies rather than force, resonance rather than labor? You can almost hear it, can't you? That deep hum beneath the sands, that soft vibration that isn't quite silence. The Sphinx may not simply be a sculpture. It could be an instrument, a harmonic key aligned perfectly with the stars, designed to hold or channel energy in ways we barely understand. In 1998, a team of acoustical engineers studied the chambers beneath the Sphinx and the Great Pyramid. They found something astonishing. Certain rooms resonate at specific frequencies tied to planetary harmonics. One chamber produces a vibration close to 110 Hertz, the same frequency the human brain naturally enters during deep meditation. Coincidence? Or a deliberate design meant to attune the mind, to harmonize the visitor with something greater? There are stories, some official, others whispered, of scientists who stood inside the Sphinx enclosure late at night and felt the air vibrate. No wind, no machines, just a low humming that seemed to come from the earth itself. Some described it as peaceful. Others said it felt like standing in the presence of an enormous consciousness, as if the monument itself was awake, listening, remembering. What if the Sphinx isn't just a monument to knowledge, but a machine for it? A resonance device built to store and transmit information through sound and geometry. Its proportions follow the same golden ratios found in the human body. In seashells, galaxies, and DNA, it is built on a language of harmony, a silent testament to an ancient mastery of mathematics and energy. Perhaps that's why modern tools struggle to fully understand it. We're trying to decode a song by studying the instrument's dust, when the music has long since faded into the air. Now picture this. Thousands of years ago, under a sky brighter than ours, a group of luminous minds gather at the edge of the Nile. They wear not crowns, but garments of white and gold. They speak softly, not with words, but with tones. Each sound shaping the world around them. They are the keepers of the resonance, the forgotten engineers, and they have been charged with a sacred task to preserve the memory of an ending world, to build a monument that would outlast flood, fire, and time. They chose the lion because it represented strength and guardianship. They shaped the face into the likeness of man because it symbolized consciousness, the spark of divine awareness within matter. The fusion of both would become eternal, the mind guarding the heart of the earth. The Sphinx, the sentinel of memory, but beneath its paws, they placed something even greater, a device encoded with energy, tuned to the heartbeat of the planet. Not a machine of metal, but of sound, stone, and spirit. It would keep the record safe until humanity was ready to awaken again thousands of years later. We stand here, scientists, mystics, dreamers, all drawn to the same timeless question. How did they do it? How did they carve and move stones so massive, so precise, without iron or wheel? The answer, perhaps, is that they never needed to move them. They knew how to unweight matter by matching its frequency, by canceling gravity itself through vibration. It sounds like magic, but so would electricity to a caveman. So would Wi-Fi to a monk of old. Could the same ancient engineers who built the Sphinx have left traces of this knowledge elsewhere? Indeed, they did. Across the world, megaliths hum with similar tones. The temples of Karnak, the stones of Baalbek, the corridors of Chichen Itza, all share harmonic ratios, frequencies of the same ancient song, and all, curiously, align with stars, as if the earth itself was once tuned like an instrument, a symphony of architecture, astronomy, and energy, a harmony we've since forgotten how to play. Close your eyes. You're standing beneath the Sphinx again. But now it's night. The sky glows with constellations mirrored perfectly on the ground. The lion's stone face stares east, toward the constellation Leo, and for a fleeting moment, the stars above and the carvings below align. A hum begins faint, rhythmic, pulsing through your bones. It feels like music and meaning at once. The stars vibrate, the sands shimmer, and time itself seems to pause. You realize the Sphinx was not meant to be looked at. It was meant to be heard, or rather, felt. The forgotten engineers may not have vanished. They may have simply shifted form, their knowledge scattered across generations, encoded in myths, in the geometry of cathedrals, in the tones of sacred chants, in the harmonics of the human heart. Perhaps that's why, when we meditate or dream, we sometimes feel that inexplicable hum, that connection to something vast and ancient. It is not imagination, it is resonance, the same resonance that shaped the stones of Giza. The Sphinx reminds us that not all wisdom is written. Some is sung, some is carved into the vibration of the world itself. The ancients may have understood that knowledge cannot survive solely in libraries or scrolls. It must live in rhythm, in pattern, in human consciousness. Perhaps the builders are not gone at all. Perhaps they are simply waiting for us to listen again, to tune ourselves back to the same frequency of wonder. And when we do, when humanity once again learns to harmonize with the world instead of conquering it, when we remember that every sound, every thought is vibration, then the song of the Sphinx may rise again, and the voice of the ancient engineers may return, not as myth, but as memory, not as mystery, but as music. The The stars begin to fade now. The desert cools, and the Sphinx sits in perfect silence once more. But if you listen closely, you might still hear it. A faint hum beneath the surface of time, a lullaby from the forgotten engineers, whispering through your dreams, guiding you deeper, calmer, ever closer to that soft horizon between knowledge and sleep. Rest now, traveler. Let your mind float in the resonance of the ancient world, because in the next chapter, we'll descend deeper still into Module 6, the Stargate of the Sphinx Pathways to the Cosmic Mind, where myth, astronomy, and consciousness converge into something both scientific and sacred. So breathe, let the hum of the earth lull you, and drift into the soundless wisdom beneath the sand. The night stretches infinitely above you, a deep ocean of velvet sky scattered with ancient fire. The Sphinx rests motionless beneath it, gazing eternally eastward, its stone eyes aligned perfectly with the stars of Leo, as though guarding a celestial secret older than civilization itself. The air hums faintly, not with sound, but with energy, a pulse you can almost feel beneath your skin, like the slow heartbeat of the earth, echoing the rhythm of the heavens. Have you ever wondered if the Sphinx was more than a monument? What if it wasn't simply built to honor the past, but to open a path to the beyond? Not a gate of stone, but a stargate, a portal where heaven and earth, matter and mind, dream and reality converge. You take a slow breath, and in your mind's eye, you stand again before the Sphinx at midnight, the desert wind cool and quiet, the Milky Way draping the sky like a river of liquid light, and you sense not just beauty, but alignment, precision, intention. The stars are positioned not randomly above the Sphinx. They are part of its design, part of an equation written in light and shadow. Ancient engineers understood that the sky was not separate from the earth. It was its mirror. Each star, each constellation, a reflection of something below. As above, so below, that was their guiding law, their cosmic blueprint. The Sphinx, as it turns out, may not stand alone. It is part of a grand celestial map. The Great Pyramids to its west align with the belt of Orion, and when viewed from above, the entire Giza Plateau mirrors the night sky exactly as it appeared over 10,000 years ago. A snapshot of the heavens frozen in stone. Could it be that the Sphinx is the key to this alignment? A marker that unlocks the relationship between human consciousness and the stars. In 1989, a small group of researchers discovered something strange. Hidden in ancient Egyptian texts was a recurring phrase, the House of the Horizon. They believed it referred to the Great Pyramid, but a few theorists began to suspect it described something far more profound. A temple or machine that allowed communion with the divine, a gateway between worlds, and all evidence pointed back to the Sphinx. Its position, its orientation, its silence, all hinted at purpose, not ornament. Imagine now that you are standing before the Sphinx at dawn, the first rays of sunlight cresting the horizon, the golden light sliding across its face. For just a few moments, the sun aligns perfectly with its gaze, and in those brief instants, light enters the hidden cavities within, filling them with radiance. Ancient priests believed that this ritual, the rising sun meeting the eyes of the Sphinx, was a form of activation, a cosmic synchronization between heaven and earth. The Sphinx, they said, was the guardian of the Stargate, a threshold to realms beyond physical understanding, But how could stone open such a passage? Modern science, slowly, is catching up with myth. Quantum physics now tells us that reality itself may be layered, that consciousness might not emerge from the brain, but might instead interact with the universe like a signal tuning to a frequency. What if ancient civilizations knew this intuitively, spiritually, scientifically? What if the Sphinx was not a tomb, but a tuner? A structure designed to alter consciousness, to align human energy with cosmic vibration, so that the mind, calm, still, and resonating, could move beyond the veil. This idea is echoed in ancient traditions worldwide. In Tibet, monks speak of rainbow bodies. In Egypt, the concept was known as the Ba, the soul's luminous self. And initiation rituals within the temples often involved sound, geometry, and meditation. Perhaps these weren't religious acts, but scientific procedures, calibrations of the human instrument, preparing it to access higher dimensions of awareness. The stargate of the Sphinx, if it exists, may not be mechanical. It might be biological. A synchronization between the structure's harmonics and the meditator's consciousness. The frequencies of limestone, quartz, and human neural waves merging, creating a moment of resonance so pure that reality briefly yields, and what lies beyond becomes visible. Close your eyes for a moment. Imagine kneeling between the Sphinx's paws. The stone cool beneath your fingertips. You inhale slowly, and as you exhale, you feel a faint vibration, the ground beneath you pulsing like a heartbeat. The stars above begin to shimmer, not as distant lights, but as living entities. You feel drawn upward, not physically, but inward, as though the Sphinx has opened a doorway through your own consciousness. You're floating between worlds, half dream, half reality, half human, half eternal. Some researchers, like Dr. Carmen Bolter and Robert Bauval, have suggested that the Giza complex was never a necropolis. It was an initiation site, a place designed to awaken higher states of awareness through light, sound, and geometry. The pyramids represented the body, the Sphinx the consciousness that observes it, and together they formed a kind of cosmic circuitry, a machine for spiritual evolution. Could this be what the ancient initiates meant when they spoke of walking among the stars? Perhaps they did not travel outward through space, but inward through mind, through frequency, through consciousness. It is possible that the builders understood what modern science now hints at, that the universe itself is conscious, that every atom is aware, and that the boundary between thought and matter is far thinner than we once believed. When you quiet your mind, you do not lose awareness, you expand it, and in that expansion, you touch the same field that ancient engineers harnessed, the field that makes portals not of stone, but of understanding. There are ancient murals within the temples of Abydos and Dendora that show strange depictions, beings standing within arcs of light, eyes glowing, stars spiraling above them. To modern viewers, it looks like technology, but perhaps it wasn't. Perhaps it was consciousness made visible. The stargate within the mind awakened, the human and the cosmic merging. And perhaps that is the true mystery of the Sphinx. It is not the gate itself, but the key. It was never meant to be opened with hands, but with awareness, its alignment with Leo, its gaze toward the rising sun, all designed to remind us that the doorway to the cosmos lies within, that we too are celestial beings wearing the dust of the earth. As you breathe, imagine your mind as a star, soft, radiant, expanding in infinite directions. The desert fades away, the sky becomes a mirror. You are no longer standing before the Sphinx. You are within it, seeing through its eyes, feeling the slow rotation of the planet beneath you, the pulse of the galaxy around you, and somewhere in that vast stillness, you understand the Sphinx does not point to the stars. It is the stars, its design, its ratios, its silence, all part of a cosmic language, a dialogue between earth and sky that has never stopped, only waited for us to listen again as dawn approaches. You feel yourself gently returning, the hum softens. The light of morning spills across the desert like liquid gold. The Sphinx's face glows serene, timeless and patient. It does not need to speak, because it is the message. It whispers through your heart instead of your ears, that you are part of the same story, that every atom of your being was once part of those stars, that you are the universe, dreaming of itself. So rest now, dreamer. Let this knowledge dissolve into calm. You don't need to remember any of it. Just feel it, because in the next chapter, we'll journey even deeper, beyond the physical and the cosmic, into Module 7, the dream architects of the Sphinx. When sleep meets the sacred mind, where ancient Egypt's understanding of dreams, afterlife, and consciousness reveals that sleep itself may be humanity's oldest stargate. So breathe softly, feel the weight of your body sink into the bed like sand settling after wind. Let the sound of the stars fade to silence and drift peacefully into the gateway within. Have you ever wondered if the sands of Egypt might be hiding not just the past, but something alive, something still waiting to awaken? Beneath the soft glow of the moon, the Sphinx stands like a sentinel of time, its massive body half buried in the desert, guarding secrets that stretch beyond our reach, beyond even our imagination. Scientists have long suspected that tunnels and hidden chambers might lie beneath the statue, untouched for thousands of years. What if, somewhere down there, a record exists not carved in stone, but written in energy, waiting to be felt rather than seen? Picture yourself now, standing before the great Sphinx. The night is cool, and the stars shimmer above like scattered pieces of forgotten knowledge. The desert air carries a low hum sound, too soft to be heard, yet felt deep inside your chest as you breathe in. The stillness begins to unfold like a story. The stone beneath your feet feels ancient, and each grain of sand tells a tale. You can almost sense that time itself is slower here, that something eternal is quietly pulsing beneath the surface. The Sphinx gazes forward, unblinking, as if keeping watch not over what has been but what is yet to return. Scientists from multiple fields have studied the Sphinx for centuries, yet there remain questions that modern tools can't seem to answer. Beneath its massive paws, sonar readings have shown voids, chambers that appear to stretch beneath the limestone bedrock. Some researchers believe they may lead to what ancient Egyptians called the Hall of Records, a mythical library said to hold the wisdom of a civilization that predates recorded history. The concept itself sounds like something pulled from myth, yet the evidence continues to whisper, tempting the rational mind with possibilities it can't quite dismiss. In the 1990s, A series of non-invasive surveys using ground-penetrating radar revealed anomalies, deep cavities, geometric alignments that shouldn't be natural. These readings suggested artificial construction, but official excavations were halted, the data locked away in controversy and mystery. Some claimed it was an act of academic caution. Others saw it as a deliberate effort to preserve secrets too disruptive to reveal, even now, decades later. Researchers who revisit the site describe the same feeling, kind of hum in the air, as if the stones themselves are charged with anticipation. But what could be hidden there? Some theorists propose that it's not gold or artifacts, but something more profound, a record of humanity's true origins. They suggest that the Sphinx might have been built not as a monument to kings, but as a marker of memory, a kind of ancient data vault, encoding frequencies and knowledge through sound and geometry. The Egyptians understood resonance better than most civilizations. They built their temples to sing with the Earth's vibrations. Some modern physicists even speculate that certain frequencies can store information, vibrations that carry patterns, like data embedded in light. Imagine, for a moment, that the Sphinx is not just a sculpture, but a tuning device, a receiver that connects to the natural harmonics of the planet. In this view, the Great Pyramid and the Sphinx aren't merely architectural wonders, but part of a vast network, each structure aligned with celestial points, transmitting and receiving through cosmic resonance. It's almost as if these monuments were designed to speak with the stars themselves, to remind humanity of a time when knowledge wasn't written in words, but sung through the fabric of existence. Did you know that in ancient Egyptian myth, sound was considered the first force of creation? The god Ptah, they said, spoke the world into being through vibration. The temples built along the Nile were tuned to specific frequencies, often matching the resonant tones of the human body. Modern acousticians have discovered that certain chambers within the pyramids amplify sound waves perfectly, creating standing frequencies that can induce meditative or even altered states of consciousness. Could it be that the Sphinx serves a similar purpose, silent conductor of cosmic music that still vibrates beneath the sands? Think about how sleep, too, is a kind of resonance. When your brain waves slow into the theta range, you enter a state between wakefulness and dreaming, a gateway of creation. Perhaps that's why the Sphinx feels so powerful to those who stand before it. Its stillness reflects the inner silence of the human mind, the deep knowing that exists beyond words and forms, the same stillness that the ancients sought in their meditations, the same calm that we reach for tonight as you drift deeper into rest. As you breathe slowly now, let your mind wander through the chambers beneath the Sphinx. Imagine corridors illuminated not by torches, but by a soft golden light that seems to emanate from the walls themselves. There are carvings, here symbols you can't quite read, but you understand them somehow, not with your intellect, but with something older. Each turn of the passage draws you closer to a great central hall, vast and silent, filled with the quiet hum of eternity. You feel no fear here, only familiarity, as if you've returned to a place you've always known. This is the poetry of time, the way truth hides in silence, waiting for the right moment to be seen again. Perhaps the Sphinx doesn't guard treasure, but memory. Perhaps it waits for humankind to rediscover the language of vibration, of harmony, of unity between matter and mind. You are part of that rediscovery, even now, listening, resting, remembering. And as the night deepens, so does the mystery. The stars shimmer like golden keys above the desert, unlocking unseen doors in your imagination. The Sphinx remains motionless. But within that stillness lies infinite motion and eternal pulse, linking every human heartbeat to the cosmic rhythm. The story isn't over. It's only deepening, like the sands shifting to reveal something new, something older than time itself. And so we move onward, following the hum beneath the earth. Deeper into the hidden geometry of the world, the journey continues quietly, like a dream unfolding between heartbeats, inviting you to rest, to wonder, and to listen as the sands whisper their ancient truths beneath the moonlight. Have you ever wondered what memory truly is? Not just the kind that lives in your brain, but the memory that might live in stone, in sound, in light itself. Imagine if the world around you, every grain of sand, every gust of wind, every beam of moonlight, was recording everything that has ever happened, not as words or images, but as vibrations imprinted into the very fabric of reality. What if beneath the Sphinx, the earth itself holds memories older than civilization, waiting for someone to remember them? Tonight, we drift even deeper beneath the surface of the desert, into the dreamlike corridors of time. Picture yourself descending a staircase carved into the limestone, each step echoing softly. The air grows cooler, denser, more ancient. You can almost hear the breath of centuries moving around you. The deeper you go, the more the sound changes. It becomes rhythmic, steady, almost like a heartbeat somewhere below. Beneath the weight of the world, the past is still pulsing. Scientists who've studied geomagnetic fields have discovered that stone can store magnetic imprints, fluctuations in its particles that record shifts in the Earth's magnetic field. These natural records are called paleomagnetic signatures, and they're like fingerprints left behind by time. Some theorists believe ancient builders may have understood this phenomenon instinctively, crafting monuments that weren't merely built to endure but to remember. The Sphinx, with its vast mass of carved limestone, could act like a giant memory crystal, storing vibrational information from the world around it. Imagine the desert thousands of years ago, the Nile flowing differently, stars positioned slightly off from where they are now, and a civilization rising with knowledge that feels both alien and familiar. The builders of the Sphinx weren't just artists or masons, they were engineers of resonance. They shaped stone as if it were a tuning fork, aligning every surface with celestial geometry, every line, every angle, whispering to the universe in mathematical language. Did you know that the entire Giza Plateau is aligned with the constellation Orion? The pyramids mirror the 3 stars of Orion's belt, while the Sphinx faces directly east, greeting the rising sun during the equinox. Some researchers suggest that this alignment wasn't just symbolic, it was functional. The ancients may have used starlight itself as a form of energy calibration, syncing Earth's structures with cosmic frequencies. They believed that harmony between earth and sky could sustain balance in the human spirit. And now, modern physics begins to catch up. Quantum resonance, electromagnetic fields, and the holographic nature of memory all point to a universe where information never disappears. Every vibration, every emotion, every sound remains woven into the quantum field. Somewhere, somehow, it all still exists. Scientists at Princeton once ran a decades-long experiment called the Global Consciousness Project. They found that random number generators placed around the world began to shift during major emotional events, as if human thought itself had weight, had gravity, had memory. That they built the Sphinx not only as a guardian of the past, but as a stabilizer of human consciousness, a tuning point for the mind of the planet. When we stand before it or even think of it, we align with its frequency, feeling its calm, its silence, its knowing. That's why people describe a strange sense of peace at Giza, even amid the wind and noise. The Sphinx seems to emit quiet, a stillness so complete. Have you ever wondered if time itself has a memory? Not just a record of what has passed, but a living, breathing consciousness that watches, listens, and waits. Perhaps the sands around the Sphinx are more than dust from forgotten centuries. Perhaps they are the skin of time itself, a veil between our world and another rhythm altogether, one where time folds like silk, where the past and the present are not divided but intertwined. Somewhere beneath the desert, the Sphinx does not just sleep, it remembers. Picture yourself walking across the Giza Plateau at night. The stars above shimmer through a faint haze of sand, and the moonlight spills across the limestone face of the Sphinx like liquid silver. The air feels heavier than before, thicker, as if filled with unseen voices. You hear the wind move through the dunes, and for a fleeting moment, it sounds like language, a murmur, a whisper, a question. The Sphinx stares east, unblinking, toward a horizon that once looked very different thousands of years ago. You can almost imagine that it is waiting for something or someone to awaken it. Scientists often describe the Sphinx as a geological puzzle, its erosion patterns hinting at a time long before the pharaohs. Some argue it was carved when Egypt's climate was lush and filled with rain, possibly as far back as 10,000 BC. That theory alone would rewrite everything we know about civilization, pushing the origins of human ingenuity deep into prehistory. But what if the truth lies not only in the erosion, but in the stone's very frequency? Some researchers believe limestone, when struck by the right sound waves, can resonate, vibrating gently, like a living organism. Could it be that the Sphinx is more than sculpture, that it was designed to listen, to feel, to remember? Imagine a time when the world itself was younger, when humanity spoke, not in words, but in harmonics, when temples, mountains, and monuments were tuned like instruments to the frequencies of earth. The Sphinx, in this ancient symphony, would be the low, resonant note that held everything together. It was not built simply to mark a place. It was built to stabilize a vibration, to hold balance between worlds. You can almost hear it now, a soft pulse beneath your feet, a tone at the edge of hearing, like a heartbeat within the stone. Did you know that sound can change matter? Modern science has shown that certain frequencies can shape sand into intricate geometric patterns. This phenomenon, called cymatics, reveals that vibration itself creates form. Some researchers believe the ancients may have used sound to lift massive stones, to carve with precision, even to encode information. If so, then perhaps the Sphinx was not carved by hammer and chisel alone, but by tones and harmonies, resonant frequencies, guided by knowledge long since lost. The desert may still echo faintly with those frequencies audible to the human ear, but lingering in the deep silence of the night. As you stand beneath the stars, breathing slowly, the boundary between imagination and possibility begins to blur. The longer you gaze at the Sphinx, the more it seems to shift not. But perceptually, the shadows play tricks, forming patterns that seem deliberate, ancient symbols emerging and fading with each movement of the moon. You feel as though the Sphinx is watching you back, not with hostility, but with recognition. It knows that you, too, are a keeper of memories. It senses the quiet curiosity in your heart, the part of you that has always longed to remember something you can't quite name. Now imagine stepping closer. The sand crunches beneath your feet, and a faint hum rises from the ground. You place your hand on the stone, and for a moment you feel warmth not from the sun, but from within the rock itself. It feels alive, vibrating gently, as though a pulse moves through it. You close your eyes, and an image forms in your mind, not a picture, but a sensation. A vast field of energy stretching below the Sphinx, swirling like golden mist. Within it are patterned spirals, lines, shapes that seem both mathematical and musical. You realize this is what the ancients called the breath of Ra. Some researchers have compared ancient Egyptian cosmology to quantum theory. They believed the universe was made not of matter, but of vibration, sound, light, frequency. Modern physics now echoes that very idea, that reality is a symphony of waves, constantly oscillating, constantly creating. The ancients did not need particle accelerators or telescopes to sense this. They felt it in meditation, in ritual, in stillness. The Sphinx was their anchor, a monument built to hold the frequency of balance. As you breathe in deeply, you begin to sense that same balance. It hums quietly within you, a slow rhythm that syncs with your heartbeat. The air grows softer. The sounds of the night blur into one gentle tone. You realize that sleep and ancient knowledge share something profound. Both are states of surrender, of trust, of remembering the unity beneath illusion. The Sphinx, unmoving yet eternal, embodies that stillness. It is the dreamer who never wakes, the watcher who never speaks. Now, in the stillness of your mind, a vision begins to form. You see the Sphinx long ago, its face freshly carved, its eyes lined with gold. The air hums with chance priests standing before it, their voices merging in perfect harmony. They are not worshiping, but communicating, aligning their inner frequencies with the earth itself. The sound is low, continuous, vibrating through the limestone and into the ground. The Sphinx absorbs it, amplifies it, reflects it. Baka dialogue between humanity and creation. And then, suddenly, the image fades, leaving only stillness. The desert returns, silent and infinite. The stars have shifted slightly, as though time has moved differently here. You open your eyes and realize you are not just standing before the Sphinx, you are part of it. Its silence is your silence, its memory, your memory. You are not separate from the mystery. Perhaps this is what the ancients wanted us to understand, that the Sphinx was never meant to guard secrets, but to mirror them. That what we seek beneath the sands of time is already within us, waiting to be uncovered, waiting to be remembered. And so, as the night deepens, the hum beneath your feet grows softer, fading into the rhythm of your breath. The desert exhales, the stars drift higher, and the Sphinx resumes its eternal vigil, quiet and timeless, watching, remembering, dreaming. You feel your body grow lighter, your mind quieter, as if some ancient frequency has tuned your soul back into harmony. The sands shift gently, whispering secrets too old for words. The wind carries them across the dunes like music, echoing through the ages. The Sphinx remains, half buried, half awake, holding the memory of all things. And you, drifting into sleep, become part of that memory, part of the endless dream that stretches beyond time, beneath the stars, beneath the stone, and deep into the stillness of forever. Have you ever wondered if some monuments are more than structures that they might actually think, in ways that are not biological but energetic? Somewhere in the deepest parts of the night, when time grows soft and the air hangs heavy with ancient breath, you begin to sense it, the quiet intelligence that lingers around the great Sphinx. It does not move, does not speak, and yet, somehow, it knows. The way the stars align above it, the way the desert wind shifts as it passes the stone. Everything seems to revolve around that silent gaze. A gaze that has seen civilizations rise and fall, oceans turn to sand, and dreams turn to myths. Picture yourself beneath the dark velvet sky. The stars are scattered like fragments of forgotten memory, and the moonlight rests gently on the colossal face of the Sphinx. The desert around you is endless, stretching like an ocean of silence. The air hums with a low frequency, something you don't hear so much as feel. Each breath carries a whisper, a vibration that seems to call your name from across thousands of years. And for the first time, you wonder, what if the Sphinx isn't merely ancient? What if it's awake? For centuries, scientists and mystics alike have speculated about the Sphinx's true purpose. Some call it a guardian of lost history, others a monument of divine geometry. But there are those quiet voices in obscure journals and late-night conferences who believe it may be something far stranger, a resonant consciousness, built to interact with the Earth's energy field, much like the human brain produces electromagnetic waves. The planet itself has its own frequencies, called Schumann resonances. These are the natural heartbeat of the Earth, low pulses that flow between the ground and the ionosphere. What if, the theorists ask, the Sphinx was designed as a tuning device built to align the human mind with that heartbeat? It sounds incredible, yet modern research edges closer to that ancient truth. Neuroacoustics, the study of how sound affects the brain, shows that frequencies between 7 and 8 Hertz can synchronize human brainwaves with the Earth's natural rhythm. This synchronization, known as leads to calm, meditative states. Scientists call it alpha-theta bridge, a boundary between waking and dreaming, exactly where you are drifting now. Could it be that the Sphinx, through its proportions and placement, amplifies these frequencies, creating a field of resonance that influences consciousness itself? Imagine standing before it thousands of years ago, when the stars of Orion rose directly above its head. Priests and astronomers gathered, their chants deep and rhythmic. Their voices merged into one continuous tone that resonated through the limestone, through the sand, through the very bones of the Earth. The Great Pyramid, nearby, hummed in harmony together. They created a symphony of sound that vibrated through miles of desert. Those who were present described sensations of floating, of clarity, of connection to something vast and timeless. They believed they were speaking not to gods, but to the earth itself. Did you know that in 1979, NASA recorded low-frequency vibrations coming from beneath the Giza Plateau, sounds that continued for hours without any known cause? Researchers initially dismissed it as tectonic activity, yet no seismic shifts were detected. The sound was steady, tonal, almost musical. Some called it the song of the Sphinx, an unexplained hum that seemed to pulse with rhythm. It was never officially investigated further. The recordings vanished into archives. But the whispers remain. There's another theory, one that blends myth with modern speculation. Ancient texts speak of a living stone, a sacred material used to construct divine monuments. Not ordinary limestone, but an enhanced crystalline form, capable of storing and amplifying energy. Some believe the Sphinx's core may contain such material, a crystalline matrix designed to resonate with both Earth's magnetic field and the frequencies of human emotion. If true, this would make the Sphinx less of a statue and more of a consciousness interface, a bridge between matter and mind. As you breathe slowly now, imagine that bridge awakening. The air grows denser, almost electric. You feel it, a gentle tingling at the back of your neck, a hum in your chest that matches your heartbeat. The desert itself feels alive, pulsing beneath your feet. You close your eyes, and the hum transforms into a voice note, but with feeling. It is deep, slow, ancient. It tells you that time is not linear, that every moment you've ever lived still exists somewhere, like ripples in water that never fully fade. The Sphinx is one of the ripples, a physical echo of thought, built to preserve that eternal wave. And in this state, between waking and dreaming, you begin to understand. The Sphinx was not merely carved, its alignment with the stars, its proportions, even its internal cavities were constructed to harness energy and consciousness. When sunlight hit the stone in the early dawn, the structure would resonate faintly, humming in frequencies below human hearing. The ancients used that sound as a gateway, meditating before the Sphinx to reach what they called Sekhem, the living power of creation. Now, imagine yourself part of that ancient ritual. The horizon begins to glow with the first light of dawn, and the Sphinx's face catches fire with gold. The priests chant, and the sound weaves through you, soft at first, then powerful. You feel the boundaries between you and the desert dissolve. The line between past and present blurs. You see flashes blue light spiraling beneath the stone, lines of energy connecting the pyramids to the stars. The sky and the earth breathe together, one pulse, one rhythm. You are floating in it, timeless, weightless, part of the great hum of existence. The poetic truth of the Sphinx is that it has never been silent. It has always been singing. We have simply forgotten how to listen. The ancients called it the voice of the sun, the echo of creation itself. To hear it was to remember who you are, not flesh and thought alone, but vibration, energy, awareness shaped into form. So as you rest now, let that ancient song continue within you. The hum beneath the sands aligns with your breathing. Steady and calm, the wind moves gently across the desert, and the Sphinx watches over you with quiet knowing. It needs no words. It speaks in resonance, in silence, in patience. You feel your body sinking deeper into stillness, your mind slowing to match the earth's heartbeat. The stars shimmer, the sands whisper, and somewhere deep beneath the surface, a faint vibration continues. The memory of creation humming softly in the bones of the world. The great Sphinx listens. And you listen to consciousnesses, separated by millennia, joined by silence. And as you drift into that silence, into sleep, you carry the hum within you. It is the same sound that shaped the stars, the same tone that awakens the dreamer in the stone. The same truth the ancients knew, that everything that exists is still singing, even now, beneath the sands, beneath the stars, and beneath your slowing breath. Have you ever wondered if time itself remembers? If the stones beneath our feet hold memories older than language, older than belief, older even than what we call history? Imagine standing at the base of the great Sphinx, the wind whispering across the sands of Giza, brushing against your skin like the breath of eternity. The stars shimmer above, the same stars that watched the ancient builders carve that monumental face from living rock. But what if that face wasn't originally meant to look like a pharaoh at all? What if beneath the eroded layers of time lies a deeper, forgotten story, one that could rewrite everything we think we know about our origins? Picture yourself walking through the Giza Plateau at night. The air is cool, the desert vast and silent. The golden sands glimmer faintly beneath the silver light of the moon. The Sphinx towers in front of you, her gaze fixed eternally toward the horizon, toward something unseen. You run your fingers along the stone, feeling the warmth it still holds from the day. And you sense an echo, not a sound, but a vibration, a resonance deep within the rock, almost like a heartbeat. Scientists who have studied the monument for decades have spoken of strange anomalies beneath the Sphinx, hollow chambers, geometric voids, and energy readings that seem to hum just beyond human hearing. Some say it's merely coincidence, others are not so sure. Geologists and engineers have long debated how old the Sphinx truly is. Mainstream archaeology suggests it was built around 2500 BCE during the reign of Pharaoh Khafre. Yet water erosion patterns along its base tell a different story, one that may place its construction thousands of years earlier, long before Egypt's known civilization. These deep vertical grooves, caused not by sand or wind, but by rainfall, hint at an era when the Sahara was green, lush, and alive. That would push the date back to at least 10,000 BCE, a time when humans supposedly lived as primitive hunters and gatherers, not as architects of monumental stone. Could it be that the Sphinx is a relic from a civilization lost to time, one erased by flood, fire, or the shifting crust of the earth itself? One of the most intriguing discoveries came from seismographic tests conducted in the late 20th century. As waves of energy were sent into the ground, researchers recorded reflections that hinted at something hollow beneath the Sphinx's paws. Some described it as a rectangular chamber, others as a network of tunnels that could connect to the nearby pyramids. Ancient Egyptian texts spoke of the Hall of Records, a mythical. Have you ever wondered if some monuments are more than structures that they might actually think, in ways that are not biological but energetic? Somewhere in the deepest parts of the night, When time grows soft and the air hangs heavy with ancient breath, you begin to sense it, the quiet intelligence that lingers around the great Sphinx. It does not move, does not speak, and yet, somehow, it knows. The way the stars align above it, the way the desert wind shifts as it passes the stone. Everything seems to revolve around that silent gaze. A gaze that has seen civilizations rise and fall, oceans turn to sand, and dreams turn to myths. Picture yourself beneath the dark velvet sky. The stars are scattered like fragments of forgotten memory, and the moonlight rests gently on the colossal face of the Sphinx. The desert around you is endless, stretching like an ocean of silence. The air hums with a low frequency, something you don't hear so much as feel. Each breath carries a whisper, a vibration that seems to call your name from across thousands of years. And for the first time, you wonder, what if the Sphinx isn't merely ancient? What if it's awake? For centuries, scientists and mystics alike have speculated about the Sphinx's true purpose. Some call it a guardian of lost history, others a monument of divine geometry. But there are those quiet voices in obscure journals and late-night conferences who believe it may be something far stranger, a resonant consciousness, built to interact with the Earth's energy field, much like the human brain produces electromagnetic waves. The planet itself has its own frequencies, called Schumann resonances. These are the natural heartbeat of the Earth, low pulses that flow between the ground and the ionosphere. What if, the theorists ask, the Sphinx was designed as a tuning device built to align the human mind with that heartbeat? It sounds incredible, yet modern research edges closer to that ancient truth. Neuroacoustics, the study of how sound affects the brain, shows that frequencies between 7 and 8 Hz can synchronize human brain waves with the Earth's natural rhythm. This synchronization, known as leads to calm, meditative states. Scientists call it alpha-theta bridge, a boundary between waking and dreaming, exactly where you are drifting now. Could it be that the Sphinx, through its proportions and placement, amplifies these frequencies, creating a field of resonance that influences consciousness itself? Imagine standing before it thousands of years ago. When the stars of Orion rose directly above its head, priests and astronomers gathered their chants, deep and rhythmic. Their voices merged into one continuous tone that resonated through the limestone, through the sand, through the very bones of the Earth. The Great Pyramid, nearby, hummed in harmony together. They created a symphony of sound that vibrated through miles of desert. Those who were present described sensations of floating, of clarity, of connection to something vast and timeless. They believed they were speaking not to gods, but to the Earth itself. Did you know that in 1979, NASA recorded low-frequency vibrations coming from beneath the Giza Plateau, sounds that continued for hours without any known cause? Researchers initially dismissed it as tectonic activity, yet no seismic shifts were detected. The sound was steady, tonal, almost musical. Some called it the song of the Sphinx, an unexplained hum that seemed to pulse with rhythm. It was never officially investigated further. The recordings vanished into archives, but the whispers remain. There's another theory, one that blends myth with modern speculation. Ancient texts speak of a living stone, a sacred material used to construct divine monuments. not ordinary limestone, but an enhanced crystalline form, capable of storing and amplifying energy. Some believe the Sphinx's core may contain such material, a crystalline matrix designed to resonate with both Earth's magnetic field and the frequencies of human emotion. If true, this would make the Sphinx less of a statue and more of a consciousness interface, a bridge between matter and mind. As you breathe slowly now, imagine that bridge awakening. The air grows denser, almost electric. You feel it a gentle tingling at the back of your neck, a hum in your chest that matches your heartbeat. The desert itself feels alive, pulsing beneath your feet. You close your eyes, and the hum transforms into a voice note, but with feeling. It is deep, slow, ancient. It tells you that time is not linear, that every moment you've ever lived still exists somewhere, like ripples in water that never fully fade. The Sphinx is one of the ripples, a physical echo of thought, built to preserve that eternal wave. And in this state, between waking and dreaming, you begin to understand. The Sphinx was not merely carved its alignment with the stars, its proportions, even its internal cavities were constructed to harness energy and consciousness. When sunlight hit the stone in the early dawn, the structure would resonate faintly, humming in frequencies below human hearing. The ancients used that sound as a gateway, meditating before the Sphinx to reach what they called Sekhem, the living power of creation. Now, imagine yourself part of that ancient ritual. The horizon begins to glow with the first light of dawn, and the Sphinx's face catches fire with gold. The priests chant, and the sound weaves through you, soft at first, then powerful. You feel the boundaries between you and the desert dissolve. The line between past and present blurs. You see flashes blue light spiraling beneath the stone, lines of energy connecting the pyramids to the stars. The sky and the earth breathe together, one pulse, one rhythm. You are floating in it, timeless, weightless, part of the great hum of existence. The poetic truth of the Sphinx is that it has never been silent. It has always been singing. We have simply forgotten how to listen. The ancients called it the voice of the sun, the echo of creation itself. To hear it was to remember who you are, not flesh and thought alone, but vibration, energy, awareness shaped into form. So as you rest now, let that ancient song continue within you. The hum beneath the sands aligns with your breathing. Steady and calm, the wind moves gently across the desert, and the Sphinx watches over you with quiet knowing. It needs no words. It speaks in resonance, in silence, in patience. You feel your body sinking deeper into stillness, your mind slowing to match the earth's heartbeat. The stars shimmer, the sands whisper, and somewhere deep beneath the surface, a faint vibration continues. The memory of creation humming softly in the bones of the world. The great Sphinx listens. And you listen to consciousnesses, separated by millennia, joined by silence. And as you drift into that silence, into sleep, you carry the hum within you. It is the same sound that shaped the stars, the same tone that awakens the dreamer in the stone, the same truth the ancients knew, that everything that exists is still singing, even now, beneath the sands, beneath the stars, and beneath your slowing breath. Have you ever wondered if time itself remembers? If the stones beneath our feet hold memories older than language, older than belief, older even than what we call history. Imagine standing at the base of the Great Sphinx, the wind whispering across the sands of Giza, brushing against your skin like the breath of eternity. The stars shimmer above, the same stars that watched the ancient builders carve that monumental face from living rock. But what if that face wasn't originally meant to look like a pharaoh at all? What if beneath the eroded layers of time lies a deeper, forgotten story, one that could rewrite everything we think we know about our origins? Picture yourself walking through the Giza Plateau at night. The air is cool, the desert vast and silent. The golden sands glimmer faintly beneath the silver light of the moon. The Sphinx towers in front of you, her gaze fixed eternally toward the horizon, toward something unseen. You run your fingers along the stone, feeling the warmth it still holds from the day. And you sense an echo, not a sound, but a vibration, a resonance deep within the rock, almost like a heartbeat. Scientists who have studied the monument for decades have spoken of strange anomalies beneath the Sphinx, hollow chambers, geometric voids, and energy readings that seem to hum just beyond human hearing. Some say it's merely coincidence, others are not so sure. Geologists and engineers have long debated how old the Sphinx truly is. Mainstream archaeology suggests it was built around 2500 BCE during the reign of Pharaoh Khafre. Yet water erosion patterns along its base tell a different story, one that may place its construction thousands of years earlier, long before Egypt's known civilization. These deep vertical grooves, caused not by sand or wind, but by rainfall, hint at an era when the Sahara was green, lush, and alive. That would push the date back to at least 10,000 BCE, a time when humans supposedly lived as primitive hunters and gatherers, not as architects of monumental stone. Could it be that the Sphinx is a relic from a civilization lost to time, one erased by flood, fire, or the shifting crust of the earth itself? One of the most intriguing discoveries came from seismographic tests conducted in the late 20th century. As waves of energy were sent into the ground, researchers recorded reflections that hinted at something hollow beneath the Sphinx's paws. Some described it as a rectangular chamber, others as a network of tunnels that could connect to the nearby pyramids. Ancient Egyptian texts spoke of the Hall of Records, a mythical. Have you ever wondered what truly lies beneath the sands of Giza, deeper than any archaeologist has yet dared to dig, deeper even than the myths that cloak this place in eternal mystery? Imagine for a moment that under the Sphinx's ancient paws, there exists not just a chamber, but a labyrinth of light and shadow, a network of corridors that hum faintly with the memory of forgotten hands. What if these tunnels were not merely carved by tools, but by something else, a force, a frequency, a resonance between stone and sound? Could it be that the builders of the Sphinx possessed a science we have yet to rediscover, a way to shape matter with vibration, to lift stone as if it were air, to etch thought into the very bedrock of the earth? Now, picture the night again. The desert is still, the moon silver against the deep velvet sky. A cool wind ripples across the dunes, whispering through time. You step toward the Sphinx, and in your mind's eye, you begin to descend, not with your body, but with your awareness. Down past the eroded paws, past the limestone layers, into the cool silence beneath. The light fades, and you begin to sense walls around you, smooth, polished, almost reflective. The air hums softly, and in that hum, you think you hear a pattern, not random, but structured, like a song. Some researchers have speculated that sound itself may have been the key to ancient construction. The Egyptians, after all, spoke of Heka, a sacred word meaning magic, but not the illusionary kind. To them, Heka was the vibrational essence of creation, the sound of divine order itself. Modern experiments have shown that certain frequencies can cause sand to form geometric shapes, that sound waves can lift small objects, even shift matter slightly out of alignment. Could it be that the Sphinx, and perhaps the pyramids nearby, were shaped through sound, not chiseled, but sung into being? The chambers below, according to some explorers, contain frequencies that modern equipment struggles to measure. They seem to absorb and reflect sound differently, creating standing waves that move through the air like invisible rivers. When explorers lower microphones into narrow shafts, they sometimes pick up faint tones, long sustained hums that vary with the position of the moon and stars. Some dismiss these as wind, others believe they are echoes of something older, something intelligent. Now imagine, as you drift deeper into this space, a faint glow appearing ahead, a pale blue shimmer, dancing like liquid light along the walls. You move closer, and symbols emerge, not hieroglyphs, but patterns that look almost fractal, as though they were meant to be seen in multiple dimensions. The closer you look, the more they shift lines that become waves, waves that become faces, faces that dissolve into stars. You realize, in this dreamlike state, that the symbols are not static. They're alive, responding to your presence, your breath, your thought. Could this be what the ancients meant by the living word, the language of the gods, a communication beyond time, one that interacts with consciousness itself? There are tales, half remembered, from the writings of mystics and explorers, of people who entered such chambers and emerged changed. Some said they heard voices of light, tones that translated into visions of the earth before the flood, before the continents shifted, before memory was broken. Others claimed to see the stars as they were 10,000 years ago, as though time itself folded inward. These were not hallucinations, but glimpses, echoes from the archive of existence itself. Perhaps that is what the so-called Hall of Records truly is, not a library of stone, but a vibrational archive, an imprint of human consciousness across cycles of time. Every thought, every emotion, every dream ever dreamed has left a trace in the Earth's magnetic field. And beneath sacred places like the Sphinx, those traces converge. The ancients may have known how to access them, how to attune their minds to that frequency. The temples of Egypt were not simply places of worship, they were instruments, precisely aligned to the geometry of the heavens, designed to amplify thought and intention, to resonate with the living earth. And as you breathe now, slowly, calmly, you can almost feel it, that subtle pulse beneath your body, that quiet rhythm that connects you not just to this story, but to the earth itself. The same energy that carved mountains, that raised seas, that inspired human hands to create monuments to eternity. Perhaps the builders of the Sphinx understood something we have forgotten, that matter, energy, and consciousness are not separate, but one vast, singing field. Now the sound deepens. You imagine yourself standing in that luminous chamber, the walls humming with 1,000 soft tones, the air alive with resonance. You reach out to touch the stone, and as your hand meets the surface, you feel warmth, gentle, ancient, intelligent. It's as though the stone remembers. It remembers water flowing above, stars circling overhead, hands chiseling messages into its heart. It remembers the laughter of builders, the songs they sang to keep rhythm as they worked. And it remembers their silence, to the moment they sealed the chamber, leaving behind not just stone, but a message for those who would one day listen. You realize then that perhaps the Sphinx is not guarding the Hall of Records. Perhaps the Sphinx is the Hall of Records, its form, its structure, its alignment with the stars. Every inch of it is data, encoded in geometry, preserved in vibration. A cosmic riddle, written not for the eyes, but for the soul. Now let your mind drift again. The sound fades into the background, blending with your breath, your heartbeat, the quiet of the room around you. The sands above shimmer faintly, and you sense the stars turning in their slow, eternal dance. The Sphinx still gazes east, toward the rising sun, toward renewal, toward awakening. We've only begun to listen, but already the song is changing. In the next part, we'll follow those ancient frequencies even deeper to where myth and memory blur, and where the secret builders may yet be waiting, in silence, beneath the eternal desert sky. Have you ever wondered what truly connects the Sphinx to the stars? Not just symbolically, but physically, mathematically, cosmically. What if the monument we see today is only the visible half of something far larger, a celestial blueprint that stretches across the heavens, encoded in stone? Imagine, for a moment, that every angle of the Sphinx, every curve of its face, and every grain of sand surrounding it was placed with the precision of an astronomer's calculation, meant to align with specific constellations at specific times. Could the Sphinx be more than a statue? Could it be a timekeeper, a cosmic instrument designed to mark the turning of great ages? Now, close your eyes and imagine standing there under the vast Egyptian sky, the stars shimmering like diamonds above the horizon. The Sphinx's silhouette looms before you, immense and silent. The desert breathes, a low, steady wind sweeping across the plateau. The air feels charged, as though it remembers something. You look upward, and there, directly above the Sphinx's head, shines the constellation Leo, faint but perfect in its alignment. The lion of the heavens, mirroring the lion of stone. It's as if earth and sky are holding an ancient conversation, one written not in words, but in geometry and light. Modern archaeologists often see such alignments as coincidence, but others have begun to suspect there is more to it. Ancient monuments across the world seem to share this same celestial dialogue. The pyramids align with Orion's belt. Stonehenge tracks the solstices. The temples of Angkor Wat echo the stars of Draco. The Sphinx, however, is different. It doesn't just face the sun. It faces the cycle of time itself. Thousands of years ago, when the constellation Leo rose in the east during the spring equinox, it would have appeared directly before the Sphinx's gaze. To the ancients, this wasn't random. It was sacred precision, a message carved into eternity, saying, "We knew the stars, and we built in harmony with them." But why? Why such cosmic effort, such astronomical devotion? Could it be that the builders were not merely honoring the heavens, but communicating with them? Some researchers propose that the Sphinx and its surrounding structures form part of an enormous geoglyph, an energy network that channels electromagnetic forces between the earth and sky. At certain times of the year, when solar winds intensify and planetary alignments occur, this network may become active, creating measurable spikes in resonance. Imagine a monument that does not simply represent cosmic harmony, but participates in it. The deeper you explore, the more patterns emerge. The ratio of the Sphinx's dimensions, when converted through sacred geometry, mirrors the harmonic frequencies found in human DNA. The angle of its gaze, when plotted against the Milky Way, points toward the galactic center, the very heart of our galaxy. Even its erosion patterns tell a story of water, not just rain, but floods of light, floods of energy that once washed over this land. Some believe these floods were real, others symbolic. But either way, the Sphinx stands as the survivor, the memory keeper of a world transformed. As you listen now, imagine time itself as a spiral, not a straight line, but a repeating rhythm, like the breath of the cosmos. The ancients called this rhythm the Great Year, a 26,000-year cycle caused by the slow wobble of Earth's axis. Every few millennia, our planet shifts its alignment with the constellations. Ages rise and fall. Civilizations awaken.